practices are running smoothly during these tough times. And welcome to another YDC CPD event. Today we thought let us focus on a different aspect other than our usual clinical aspects. This evening's aspect is also very, very important with regard to the development of ourself. I think let us just give it some time before I introduce my speaker. We can just wait for some of the participants to log on. And as we see the numbers increase, we'll give the green light to go ahead. So if I may just quickly introduce our panel this evening. We've got our guest, our speaker, Mr. Thabiso Mailula. A very warm welcome to you. We've got Dr. Sadia Rasool, who's a YDC representative this evening. She is also the secretary of the YDC. And then we've got Dr. Ntabiseng Metsing, who's the head of professional development at SADA. Welcome, Dr. Metsing. And then we've got our support structure in the background. Thank you guys as well. So I think let us just give it a few minutes before we get started and before I introduce our speaker. In the meanwhile, I'll just converse with our YDC representative this evening. Dr. Rasool.
Yes, Dr. Bika.
Rasool, welcome. And it's wonderful to see young individuals joining us this evening for such platforms. And today's topic focuses on a lot of self-alignment, self-development, and we'll hear much more from our speaker this evening. But you, as a young dentist, do you feel that topics such as these are important to you?
Definitely, Dr. Bika. I feel like there's so much of emphasis placed on the clinical aspect of dentistry that we tend to avoid the emotional part. And it is important to be aware and conscious of our emotions, both positive and negative, because I feel like it allows for proper reactions in certain situations. So I definitely feel like an emotional awareness as well as like psychological awareness of yourself and where you're at is always very important, because that enables you to perform effectively clinically as well and give of your best to your patients if you feel good.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And do you think that a lot of young individuals in dentistry or practicing dentistry suffer from stress? I know dentistry is a very stressful environment. And do you think it's a major challenge that young individuals are facing, but they're not showing it?
Yes, and I feel like because of the fact that it's an industry that you're getting into or you're entering that has a lot of competitors that are much older than you or financially more stable, you're coming in obviously in an industry where you're not established, your reputation is not really well known. So it is stressful, and it's very important to kind of know that you have a sense of self and be confident and understand that these things take time. So I definitely agree that there is a lot of stress in the industry. So it's really important to understand how to manage stress and deal with your emotions. I definitely agree.
Absolutely. And Dr. Metsing, I know you've been part of the YDC platforms before your current position, and you've worked in an academic institution as well. What are the factors that you can point out? You've dealt with students firsthand. Do you think that it's important to take topics such as these, like that's going to be presented tonight, into academic settings?
Look, Dr. Bika, certainly. I mean, one of the things that I would say is it's important to have a balance. You know, in your life, you can't just be all work. You need to be a well-balanced person. Take care of your social life, take care of your spiritual life, take care of your emotional life. You know, it's very important because it molds you. We're not just a singular person. You know, we are a variety of moments in our lives. That's what actually grooms an individual. So it is very important for us to, from time to time, take time off our busy schedule, of our normal routine and actually venture into other things. And I mean, you'll see the beauty that it brings into your life.
Absolutely. I think the key factor you mentioned is balance, and I totally agree with you. Balance in all aspects, especially as a student. And I think we've got a lot of students that have tuned in this evening for this evening session. We've got about 194 participants that have joined in. I think we can slowly get started with this evening session. Once again, welcome to one and all who have just missed the introduction. Before we get started, I would just like to make some announcements. So if I may just request one and all, just to, if you have a comment or a suggestion or a question, questions will be taken towards the end of the session. And if I may just request to avoid using the raise hand option, instead rather just type your comment in the Q&A section. This evening session will be live broadcast and will stay on the SADA YouTube channel. So at any time, if you wish to go and visit this the session again or share it with any of your colleagues, please feel free to do so. And it will be still available on the SADA YouTube channel. This evening session will earn you 2 ethical CEUs, CPD points. And I think many times we're always in search of those ethical points. Just another mention is that we've got some upcoming events planned for the month of September. As you all know, that September is National Oral Health Month, and I think we should all be excited about it. Stay tuned. I think let's take this month to learn a lot from our colleagues and from the various platforms where CPD events are broadcast. So if I may just mention those, on the 1st of September, we've got a motivational speaker by the name of Lynn Hill, who will be addressing the topic of consciousness versus crisis. And I think it's a very pertinent topic in this current period that we're going through. And then on the 2nd of September, we've got the SADA Mpumalanga branch that will be hosting Dr. Howard Gluckman, and he will be talking about the changing face of digital dentistry and the rise of the CBCT. I think that will be quite interesting as we move towards a more digital era. Then on the 3rd of September, we've got another session which is titled "I Survived COVID-19." That's also another ethical session that will earn you an ethical point. So yeah, stay tuned. I mean, September will be quite a busy month, and I encourage all to participate. With no more time to waste, I would like to welcome this evening's guest, Mr. Thabiso Mailula. A very warm welcome to you. I'm just going to run through a quick introduction. I cannot memorize the CV, so I'm just going to be reading that. Tonight's session is on alignment of self for these times and beyond. Sounds like a very interesting topic, and I hope we all take a lot from this evening's session. Mr. Thabiso Mailula is the founder of Subconscious Frequency Academy and also the head of training. He's also a corporate trainer, an NLP trainer, an NLP mental health and public speaking master, coach, and an international inspirational speaker. Wow. In 2009, Thabiso started working in the mental health field, working with people all over Gauteng who struggled with mental health and addiction problems, using his psychology background to provide support and counseling. Thabiso has always had the need to improve his skills, and in 2013, he was introduced to NLP. Thabiso's introduction to NLP allowed him to overcome his fear of speaking in the public and also helped him launch his career as an inspirational speaker and an NLP coach. A year later, Thabiso worked as a psychology lecturer at the South African College of Applied Psychology before furthering his NLP studies, completing his NLP Master Certificate, Business and Executive Coaching Certificate, and NLP Train the Trainer Certificate. Thabiso also found that although he had a bewildering range of psychological and personal development models as an offer, the material that he discovered to be by far the most useful and effective was the NLP, especially when he linked the coaching approach. Thabiso worked as an NLP trainer at various NLP training academics before deciding to launch his own academy. His passion for human empowerment led to his clients in the mental health field nominating him for an international NLP award in London, where he was nominated as a finalist for using NLP in the healthcare sector. Thabiso also won the NLP Inspiration Award, specially designed by the NLP International Conference Organizing Committee. The NLP. Thabiso went on to be the first South African to present at the NLP International Conference in 2019 and will also be presenting again in 2020. And ladies and gentlemen, today the YDC are honored to, the YDC and SADA are honored to have Mr. Mailula, and I hand the stage over to you. Thank you again.
Wow, thank you so much. Just listening to it again is really quite nice and really quite encouraging, you know, because I think in my journey in the past, a lot of the times I'd feel uncomfortable when being introduced. So thank you, Dr. Bika, because at this point in time, I'm really embracing, you know, all that I've achieved. And I'm proud of it, because a lot of the time, many of us go through life and, you know, we don't celebrate the things that we've achieved. We go through life looking at things that we did wrong, looking at the mistakes that we made, looking at the things in our journey that we don't like, looking at those experiences in our lives that simply have shaken us and made us feel uncomfortable or made us question who we are in some way. And not looking back to just reflect on the things that we've achieved that we are proud of. So thank you for that. And as you do that, may I encourage everyone to start reflecting and celebrating their achievements. You know, as you're listening, maybe start reflecting on the things that you've achieved in your life that you're proud of. So thank you so much for that a reminder of my journey, because I think many of us here can attest to how lonely it gets the higher you go in your career. It gets quite lonely and you start having a limited number of people that you can start sharing your most vulnerable things with, because we have this notion of being perfect, which brings me back to this alignment of self. You know, so firstly, and I know Dr. Bika introduced me very well, and I thought, you know, let me actually get us to this point where we can simply just unpack this, you know, as to how is this important? You know, firstly, what is alignment of self? You know, I think it's very important for us to quickly just look into what exactly is alignment of self and what are we looking at when we look at alignment of self. So standing here, I know Dr. Bika introduced me, but I thought I need to just really give you this because it speaks to what I'm going to share later on. Who is Thabiso? Who is Thabiso Mailula? You know, because I think for a long time in my life, I didn't quite embrace who I am. For a long time in my life, I didn't quite feel at peace with who I am and what I'm capable of doing because of the things that I did that I wasn't happy with, because of those behaviors that I was ashamed of, because of the things that I did that made me feel guilty about standing up and sharing content with people. And it's until recently where I started questioning whether I was truly authentic to the information that I'm sharing, whether I was truly authentic to what I'm helping people with, because I felt, who am I to share this with people if I'm not in alignment with who I am, if I'm not sharing or living in the steps of that which I'm sharing with people? And I had to start questioning a lot. And for the past month or two, I've really been in that space where I'm having a battle with myself. And I'm sure many of you might have found yourself in that situation. But who is Thabiso right now? Thabiso is the greatest there has ever been. Thabiso is the greatest there is. Thabiso is the greatest there will ever be. Why? Because there's never, ever gonna be a greater Thabiso than I am. No matter what you do, no matter what you accomplish in life, you can never be a greater me than me. Thabiso's son is a son, a brother. Thabiso is a father. One of the most recent things that I've had to accept. And as I share this with you, may you begin to embrace who you are and not be ashamed of the greatness that you have within. Because so many of us question the greatness that we have within because of things that have happened to us, things that have been said, or simply because we compare ourselves to other people in our lives. But let's get on to what exactly is alignment of self. Alignment of self is simply an alignment between the external and the internal. Alignment of self is simply an alignment between the external and the internal. What exactly am I talking about there? Simply saying, we have things that happen out there in the world, and we have things that happen inside here, in our internal world. However, if ever there is a misalignment between what is happening out there and what is happening within me, we tend to have a bit of problems in our lives. We tend to have a bit of a misalignment in who we are, where we're going, and indeed the results that we get in our lives. And I think right now, before I go into sharing and unpacking that even more, we need to simply just have this belief and realize that we don't see the world as it is, but we see the world as we are. And I think this journey with the coronavirus coming at us, it has caused a massive disruption in our lives. It has caused a major change and a shakeup in our lives, in our external lives. And if you recognize the chaos out there, if you recognize the chaos in your world, in the external world, it means deep down within is a chaos within. And you just need to just sit back and reflect on where exactly is this chaos within me? How exactly am I displaying this chaos within me? And this chaos that I'm expressing and that I'm experiencing within me, what is it trying to tell me? How is it making me feel? So the first point, if you want to actually find alignment within, is to firstly identify with the disruption within. We firstly became aware of the massive disruption in the world out there. I want you to actually just sit down and reflect on how many massive disruption or little disruptions you have experienced in your journey of life. Because you see, we experience disruptions in our journey of life through what people say to us, through what has happened to us, through our general experiences, our failures, the things that we tried to do that we failed in when we didn't get the results that we hoped for, the breakups. In your journey as a professional, you've experienced a lot of minor disruptions, those disruptions that we tend to easily sweep under the carpet and move on as if they didn't happen. However, those minor disruptions in our lives tend to build up. And many of us, it only took a massive disruption on the outside where it forced us to stay in and simply go and look within. And it's until we looked within that we allowed ourselves to start realizing, whoa, wait a minute. Maybe there's certain things within that I need to actually start looking at. Maybe there's certain things in my internal world that are a bit of a shakeup. Maybe getting to work has been an easy way for me to run away from the things that I had to actually start facing in my life. What are those things that you are running away from in your life? What are those things that you might have to actually start facing? Ladies and gentlemen, doctors, students, you can't solve a problem that you do not have. Many of us, like I did, have found powerful ways of actually running away and just avoiding those challenges, those disruptions within, that we find it easier to actually point fingers at other people, at other things, at other situations. The moment you point a finger at other people, other situations, my lecturer, my colleagues, my patients, coronavirus, my environment, the problem is never yours. It's always going to be that person or that thing's fault. And until a problem is yours, until you take a responsibility for whatever it is that you're experiencing in life, you can never do anything about it. What is it that you might need to take responsibility for? And I know we might need to start evaluating ourselves, and it can be quite a difficult thing to do. For me to actually just acknowledge that maybe I'm feeling miserable about what's happening in the world out there, simply because I'm not at peace with myself. Simply because I don't have an alignment with who I am, what I'm becoming, my behaviors, where I stay, where I work, my beliefs. Are you aligned with who you are? And we're just simply going to start unpacking that in terms of where could the misalignment be, you know? Because remember, a lot of the misalignment happens as a result of what is happening in the world and what I think is happening. The moment there is a gap between what is happening in the world and what is happening, I can fill this gap with anything that I want. What is it that we fill that gap with? We fill that gap with the internal dialogue that we have, the internal story that we tell ourselves. And I know I can't get any response from you, but I actually want you to just reflect on this. When you find yourself in the world, maybe let's just take, I want to just take just any name that's popping up. So the first name that's popping up here in my screen is Untitled Chapter. So I want you to just say out to yourself, out aloud, wherever you are, Untitled Chapter, in just your home language, the way you normally speak. Untitled Chapter. Untitled Chapter. Just say it out aloud so you can hear yourself say it. Now, I actually want you to now repeat Untitled Chapter's name, but now I want you to say it with a French accent. A French accent. How would you say that? Say it out aloud. Untitled Chapter. I don't know how I'd go about it. Untitled Chapter, yay! Untitled Chapter, yay! Whichever way you want to say it, with a French accent, you know, nice and romantic, Untitled Chapter. Whatever accent you've got there. I'm sorry, I'm not good at accents, but yes, you get the gist of it. But now here's what I want you to do on the next one. I want you to say Untitled Chapter's name with a Russian accent in your mind. Without saying it out aloud, I want you to just say Untitled Chapter's name with a Russian accent. The Russian accent. Untitled Chapter. Just listen to yourself say it. Just say it in your mind without verbalizing it. Untitled Chapter with a Russian accent. Now, as you say that, I want you to just answer these questions that I'm going to follow up with. Did you hear yourself say Untitled Chapter with a Russian accent? And if you heard yourself say Untitled Chapter with a Russian accent, with which ears did you hear yourself? With which mouth were you saying Untitled Chapter's name with a Russian accent? Where was Untitled Chapter's voice coming from? You see, we receive information from the world And that information has got absolutely no meaning whatsoever, except the meaning that I give it through the stories that I tell myself. We are constantly having conversations with ourselves. What kind of conversations are you having with yourself? And every time we have these disruptions that come at us, we have a dialogue with ourselves. In that gap between what is happening, what I think is happening, is that dialogue that we have with ourselves. What are you putting in that space? What is that dialogue? The gap between what is happening and what we think is happening is a result of all the stress that we experience in our lives. In this gap is what we fill with anything that we fill it with. What are you filling this gap with? Are you filling it with things that empower you, with things that help you grow? Are you filling this gap with things that keep you stuck, with things that make you feel miserable? What are you pouring into this through the conversations that you are having with yourself? I'm hoping at the end of the session, you're going to have an alignment with the conversations that you have with yourselves. You're going to start recognizing and stopping those conversations that are not helpful to you, and start having conversations that empower you, conversations that are in alignment with who you truly are. What are those conversations that you need to start having with yourself? The conversations that you have with yourself create the bridge between our external world and our internal world. Now, what are the ways that we could begin to do that? Our external world can be controlled by what we focus on. Our external world can be controlled by what we do. Our internal world can be controlled by our thoughts. Our internal world can be controlled by the emotions that we allow ourselves to experience. Brings me back to the chaos that you see out there. What emotions are you attaching to the chaos that you see out there? What emotions are you attaching to the turmoil, to the chaos that you see within? Recognize those unresourceful emotions, those unresourceful thoughts, those unresourceful dialogues that you are having with yourself. Because until you realize them, you cannot do anything to help yourself get to where you want to get to. So let's just quickly have a look at the model that we're going to be using for this process. So our alignment of self, and this you can actually even go and Google somewhere out there and just have a look at. This is a process that was created by a guy called Gregory Bateson. And Gregory Bateson, later, this was revisited by Robert Dilts. And Robert Dilts is somebody that I highly look up to in my field of career. And he created this model. And with this model, I felt maybe I need to revisit it, but revisit it in a different way, in a way that can help you just find a bit of alignment within. And he believed that for us to have alignment within, between what is happening with the outside world, what is happening within, we need to have a form of connection. We need to be at peace with our environment. We need to be at peace with our behavior. We need to be at peace with our capabilities, our skills, our beliefs and values, what is important to us, what is our reality. We need to be at peace with who we are, and we need to be at peace with spirituality, our source of what gives us the strength to do what we do, or in fact, our purpose in life. And that's what I thought maybe I need to just get us to reflect on today. Because here's the thing, You are not a product of your external circumstances. You are a product of your beliefs, your thoughts, and how you think about who you are. So I thought maybe we just need to just start unpacking. What are the things that we can begin to do? You know, do you know where you're going in life? Looking at spirituality, do you know what is your purpose in life? Your reason for being? What is your reason for living in life? Why are you here? Why are you in the journey that you are in? Why have you been created? What do you want? What do you want to achieve in your life? What often happens is we have a misalignment in our lives with who we are simply because we don't even know what we want. We don't even know what is our purpose in life. And guess what we do so well? We go through life looking at all the things that we don't want, describing the things that we don't want. Oh, I don't want to fail as a student. I don't want to fail as a doctor. I don't want to get a patient that is like this and like that. I don't want to have issues in my life. And we describe so well the things that we don't want to see or have in our lives. What do you want? What do you want? What is your purpose in life? What are you working towards? What is that one thing that's going to make it completely worth it? The challenges that you're going to face in your journey. Spend some time thinking about what it is that you really want. And I'm sure you probably heard it somewhere in your journey. You need to just be smart about it. So you need to know, you need to be specific. What do you really want? You know, many of us know what we want in our professional careers. But Dr. Metzing said it earlier and said, the key to alignment of self is balance. Balance. Balance between our professional, social, and all the different areas in our lives. Do you have balance? When you work on your purpose, does it include your family? Because my purpose in life needs to be ecological to my family, needs to be ecological to my finances, needs to be ecological to my profession, whatever it is that I think holistically covers all the different areas of who I am. Where do you see yourself? I want you to just take for a moment, just for a moment, allow yourself to just get a glimpse of what your purpose is. Even if it's just for a moment. Because it's moments that change lives, isn't it? It's those moments where we decide to say yes, or we decide to say no. It's those moments that I can say yes to a proposal. It's in those moments where I can say never again. It's in those moments where I could have my last breath. It's in those moments where I can say yes to a life of bliss. It's in those moments where I can change my life. What are you doing in the moments of your lives? Because life is created by all these different moments. What choices are you making in those different moments? And I believe in every moment of our lives, we are constantly making 4 choices. What is the benefit if I change? What are the consequences if I don't change? What are the benefits? What are the benefits if I change? What are the consequences if I change? What are the benefits if I don't change? What are the consequences if I don't change. You're constantly making those 4 choices. The benefits of changing, the consequences of changing, the benefits of not changing, staying right where you are, the consequences of staying right where you are. And maybe for us to just be aware, because many of us tend to think the comfort zone is an area where you stay stagnant. The greatest mistake you can ever make in life is believing that there is such a thing as stagnancy, because there is no such thing as stagnancy. You know, it's a silly example, but I realized this the other day. I stopped, you know, exercising for some time because then excuses that we give. I felt I was too busy with my life. I was too busy with work. Had to now be traveling, waking up early hours, coming back late, and then I've got courses that I'm facilitating in the evening, all those sort of things. But I used to easily do maybe 3 sets of push-ups, doing 30 push-ups and whatever. And now I decided, okay, fine, let me quickly come back into exercising. And simple thing where I decided to just do 25 push-ups and try to do 3 sets. I nearly died. But I realized, oh my goodness, I thought that because the last time I was able to do 30 push-ups or 3 sets of 30 push-ups, I should be fine. But not realizing that I was slowly regressing, slowly disintegrating. The moment you think you are in your comfort zone, become aware that you're slowly disintegrating. You're slowly dying. It's just something to be aware of. So with those 4 decisions, what is it that you need to do right now about your purpose? So maybe getting a glimpse of what your purpose is. Where are you? If you had to get to a point in your life where you have fulfilled your purpose, achieved all that you want to be, do, and have, where would you be? Connected to the source that provides in abundance. Living the life that you want to live. Where are you? Who are you with? What are all the things that you are doing? What are all the things that you have? Just see all that you see and notice what it is that you see. What are people saying about you? Most importantly, what are you saying about yourself? What are all the feelings that you are feeling? How does it feel to have it all? In your professional life, your personal life, socially, where are the places that you are going to for holiday? Notice how that feeling feels for you. Because many of us don't realize something in life is that it's not the material things that drive us in life. Because many of us dreamt of becoming doctors, and you got your doctor's certificate, you got your degree, and it didn't give you the sense of satisfaction you thought it would have. Because there was a sense of association between being that, having that degree, with a certain feeling. However, somewhere along the way, you lost this feeling. You stopped allowing this feeling to drive the actions that you needed to do to get to where you want to be. What is that feeling that you want? Because that feeling is your purpose. That feeling is going to help you make the decisions that you need to make in order to get to where you want to get to in life. So what is that feeling that you've associated with your purpose in life? And that is the first level for us to just become aware of. The first level for us to just notice and know what changes I need to make in order for me to know what's going to drive me, in order for me to know where I'm going, how I need to navigate. because that makes it completely worth it. If I don't know where I'm going in life, it's quite easy for me to get disconnected or to get lost, because any road will get me there. Where are you going? The next level that we had there, just looking at it, is we had a sense of identity. Who are you? Who are you? What are all the things that define you as a person? Is there an alignment between the person that you are at work, between the person that you are at home, between the person that you are in your social context? Is there an alignment? And are you at peace with all those things that you are? I found that I struggled a lot of the time with who I was, simply because I did not know who I am. The reason I define myself as the greatest there is, there has been, and there ever will be, simply because I had to go on a journey of self-reflection of who I truly am. How do you describe yourself? You see, in my journey, I realized that as people, we allow the things that we don't like about ourselves to define who we are. We allow the mistakes that we've made to define who we are. In fact, when they ask you when you go for an interview, what are your strengths? What are the things that you are good at? You feel you don't know yourself so much that you have to go on Google for Google to tell you what you are good at. Is that really what you've allowed yourself to become? Someone that can just be defined by Google? Who are you? What are the things that you are good at? What are the things that you love about yourself? What are the things that you've achieved that you're truly proud of? Because those are the things that truly define you. That is what allows you to show up as the greatest that you can show up as. Who are you showing up as at home? Who are you showing up as in your work? Are you showing up as the best you? Know who you are. What are the things that you can begin to do in this journey? I started off today by saying that we don't see the world as it is, but as we are. In the same way I said, in order for you to be able to recognize the chaos out there, I need to become aware of the qualities that I identify out there in people. Because your unconscious mind would not realize those qualities in other people if it didn't believe that you have those qualities. You have those qualities. And if you allow yourself to identify with those qualities and realize, I recognize that quality in that person, wow. And it's simply a reflection of the fact that I have that quality within me. What are the things that I'm really good at? So you can either allow yourself to step out of your body, to look at somebody that you admire, and allow yourself to define yourself without being biased. It's a process we use because as people, we're constantly hard on ourselves. You know, you are the best critic that you can be to yourself. So in order for you to define yourself without being biased, allow yourself to step out of your body and define yourself. Or allow yourself to actually look at yourself through the eyes of somebody who really loves you, somebody who really looks up to you. Who's that person that really looks up to you? Because if you allow yourself to be defined by the people that really look up to you, the people that are inspired by you, you get to define yourself by who you truly are, because you are not what other people have said to you. You know, we've allowed what people have said to us to take away from the qualities that we have. You know, somebody has their own problems and they come to you and say, here, you know what? I've got my own limiting beliefs. So here, take, you are ugly, or you are not good enough. But we don't realize that it's their stuff. Learn yourself to identify what is yours. We've taken labels that we've been given by other people because we didn't know who we were. If you know who you are, you're able to say, no, wait a minute, that's not my cup of tea. That's not who I am. I know who I am. But I know I cannot define myself by my past. I know my being cannot be defined by mistakes. My being is defined by where I am, where I'm going, the things that I've achieved that are great, the things that I've done well, the times that I've been resourceful in my life. What are those things? Now I'll share a quick little story as I move on to the next level, where we could find alignment in who we are. When I introduced myself, I said I was a father amongst being the greatest there has been. So a year ago, or recently, I've just discovered that I'm a father, and I was in a rocky place in my life because I started questioning who I am and whether I was being authentic to who I am, because I found out as a father to a 6-month baby that I wasn't aware of. And I started questioning who I really was. I started questioning, are you really authentic if you are not living the tools that you are sharing with people? And that whole journey shook me a little bit because I felt maybe I need to stop, because I'm not really authentic with who I am. I'm not really authentic with what I'm sharing. And I realized I needed to do some inner work. I needed to do some work with myself and just come back to who I am. But in order for me to do that transition, to make that change or accept what it is that has happened, because for me, it really shook me, because I always felt that my journey, and I've put in the work to get to a point where when I have my firstborn, I know that I'm going to be fully present and I'm able to be there with them. And I'm there when my child is born. And I felt that had been taken away from me. And with that, I really had, look, first of all, for the fact that I found myself in this situation, feelings of shame and guilt. I also had feelings of anger, but I was struggling to connect and just be at peace with that, with the fact that, hey, Thabiso, you're not good. You're not perfect all the time. But I realized that's the problem. I was trying to be the perfect Thabiso. Now, you see, there's a difference between the greatest Thabiso and the perfect Thabiso. The greatest Thabiso is not perfect. The greatest Thabiso makes mistakes. The greatest Thabiso recognizes that he's going to make mistakes in his journey. And it's okay, as long as he learns from those mistakes. The greatest Thabiso realizes that his mistakes don't define who he is. The greatest Thabiso realizes that in your journey, you are going to do things that you might not be proud of. In your journey, you're going to find yourself in situations you might not really be proud of. However, allow yourself firstly to accept those situations. Secondly, learn from those situations. And realize that, hold on, that moment was simply a realization of me simply redirecting my passion in the wrong direction. You see, what happens in our lives is we do things that we are ashamed of. And when we do those things that we are ashamed of, the best way to cope with those things is by not caring. Because if I don't care, it doesn't hurt. If I don't care, I don't feel the pain anymore. But guess what? because I don't care, I'm going to repeat the behavior again. And when I repeat it again, I feel the pain. But to not feel the pain, I need to stop caring. How many of us have got the cycle of those behaviors that we don't like and we know are not helping us grow? However, have gotten us into this loop where we keep on repeating the behavior, even though I know it's not taking me where I want to go to. I realized I simply identified with the fact that I'm not good enough, and I wanted to actually pretend that I was perfect. That misalignment was creating a lot of conflict within. So what are the things that you maybe might need to actually accept? What are those things that you might need to just accept as that they're who you are? Because for me, I realized that I blamed myself for realizing that I'd made a mistake. It's actually quite funny. I blamed myself for realizing that I made a mistake. In life, the moment you realize that you're going the wrong direction. I did this. I said, Tabiso, how the hell can you make this mistake? How the hell could you continue going the wrong direction? And I beat myself over and over, and I kept on going the wrong direction. But I kept on saying, but why? How can you keep on making this mistake? How could you make this mistake even though I continued in the wrong direction? Wuchisha. Wuchisha is simply an African word that means ask. Sometimes we need to learn to ask ourselves questions. You know, until I realized that instead of saying, thank God, I realized that I made this mistake. Thank God, I realized that I'm going the wrong direction. But wait a minute, which direction do I want to go? Firstly, you need to identify where you are. What are the emotions that you're experiencing? But you also need to realize where you want to go. What is your desired outcome? That is your purpose. What is your desired outcome? And then say to yourself, let me go the direction I want to go. But instead of being grateful, which until today, I have never been so grateful for the mistakes that I've made in my lives and for recognizing the fact that I've made those mistakes, because it's only until I did that that I got the strength to actually change and go the direction I want to go. I don't know what it is that you might need to take out of that, which I just shared with you, because all of us at those moments in our lives, and many of us struggle to be grateful for the fact that I now know. Many of us continue in our career making mistakes simply because I struggled to accept that mistake that I made. And working so hard to prove that I am good enough, to prove that, listen here, you will study every degree that is possible for you to study to prove that you're good enough. And it will never be good enough until you realize that you are good enough, until you forgive yourself for the mistakes that you might have made in your past life. We said beliefs and values might be an area for us to look at that might create some imbalances in our journey, some misalignments in our journey. You know, when we look at values, let's start with values. You know, when we look at values, those are things that we consider to be important in our lives. What are the things that you consider to be important in your journey? What are you considering to be important in your journey? Many of us have misalignment because we have made the things that are important to us the things that are important to our families. We have taken our parents' values and gone through life, living life according to what's important to our parents, living life according to what's important to the society, living life according to what's important to the church, living life according to what's important to the community, to the world at large, making other people more important than what's important to you. What's important to you? And we realize that we have actually put other people before us. The reason many of you have come into this career is because you wanted to help people. You wanted to be of value to people. But sometimes we want to help people so much at the expense of us, so much at the expense of our families, so much at the expense of our peace and joy. What is important to you? What are all the things that are really important to you? Maybe something I might need to share here is that a lot of the time, if I can't find the money to do what I want to do, if I can't make the time to do what I want to do, if what I want to do takes a lot of effort, and if I just can't find the people that will help me to do that, it's not something that is important to me. Start questioning yourself on those areas. Start making the time for those things that are important to you. Start looking for people that will help you do the things that will help you do what you want to do. If it is truly what's important to you, it's not going to take a lot of effort. If it's taking a lot of effort, maybe ask yourself, how is it going to benefit me? And if it requires a lot of effort, it's not really what's important to you right now. Maybe you need to focus on certain things. And sometimes we allow ourselves to feel under pressure because according to our loved ones, our family, whatever, after you have a certain degree, at this point, you need to be married, you need to have that, you need to have this. And you end up putting yourself under pressure, not knowing that your journey in life is your journey alone. And your journey is yours. It's yours. And you know what's important to you at whichever point in your life. Allow yourself to make decisions that benefit you, that are important to you. But in all of that, know what are the things that are important, that are your true core values, the values that hold you down, the values that no matter what happens in life, you are not going to compromise and flex on. Because yes, it might be important for me to have a glass of wine right now, but I don't think it would be appropriate in this context. But I might say, okay, I can flex on having that glass of wine now because this is something that's important, but not really that is important. Not as important as what I want to do now. And that's fine. And there are those values which I can flex on. But there are certain values I cannot flex on. There are certain values that I know I would not be able to flex on. If somebody said, Tabiso, all right, fine, we will give you this if you can just maybe tweak your talk and say this and make people feel, it's a value that I don't resonate with. So I will not even go there. Okay, what are your core values? What are the values that you're not willing to compromise on in your journey, in who you are and what you're doing in life? Know those. And for me to describe this, I don't know if you've seen, there's this thing that you see at a garage, usually garages. It's that thing where it's blown by wind and that thing is like, oh, it's tossed everywhere. It's tossed every direction and it just goes every direction it goes. However, no matter which direction it gets tossed, no matter what influences come at life, no matter what problems come, this thing always stays grounded. Know what is important to you, because when temptations come, when distractions come, you'll always remain centered in the knowing of who you are and what is important to you. Beliefs. What are your beliefs? No, many of us are driven in life because of beliefs that have come from what people have said. Beliefs are what we call to be a reality in life. You know, the moment I believe that I'm not good enough, look, it's not a question that I'm not good enough. It's a fact that I'm not good enough. We have taken opinions of other people, opinions of certain times in our lives, opinions of decisions that we made that we're not proud of, to be a fact about who we are and what we can achieve in life. What beliefs are you allowing to define who you are and what you can become? Because many of us have allowed limiting beliefs to define who we are and what we can achieve in our lives. What are those things that you're allowing to define who you are? You know, in my journey, somewhere along the line, I found myself in a situation where I was working at a rehab center for people with mental health and addiction problems. And I shared the journey where, because of what I was doing, I was sponsored to actually go and do my master practitioner in NLP and train the trainer in NLP. And with all of that, I went through the process, I qualified, and the company was like, look, Thabiso, we want to expand into Africa and into USA and want you to be one of our trainers. I said, what? This is my dream. I'm going for it. I went in there, but somewhere along the line, the company that I joined could not fill the courses as much as they could. And when they couldn't fill the courses, I'd resigned to join this company, and now I found myself without any surety of income. So I didn't get any income, but I made the decision to join. So I decided, you know what, even though I wasn't aware, it's almost one of those situations where you jumped off, the aeroplane thinking that you have a parachute only to realize that you had grabbed somebody's bag. And that's where I found myself. And I literally had to build a parachute while I was in the air. So I literally became an entrepreneur by default. But in that whole process, I remember I found myself thinking, why is there a reason for me to live anymore? I wanted to end my life. And even though I'd spent so much time encouraging people to believe in themselves, to live, to have a reason to live, I found myself believing that there's no point in living, and believing that it was a good decision for me to end my life. And I realized in life that even though I had people who kept on saying, so look, you're really brilliant, why don't you start your own training company? But I realized that it doesn't matter what people say to you. If you don't believe that you're good enough, it doesn't matter what people see in you. If you don't see it in you, it means nothing. Until you start seeing it in yourself, only then will you allow yourself to show up as that person with those qualities. In that whole journey, I remember, I resigned and that whole process, and now I was in this situation where I started to question who I am. And for me, it's until I had to move out of my house, because I realized if I don't move out of my house, I'm probably gonna lose it. So I had to move out of my house and move in with my sister and my brother-in-law in that whole process. And in that process, I remember having to paint my house just before I move out. So obviously I can get people to come and rent it out and that sort of thing. In that process, I remember looking at my walls and thinking, but I wonder, what's the original color of this wall? And as I began to reflect on that, I realized that, hey, you know, when we are born, our parents paint us with a paintbrush of their beliefs. And I go to school and my teachers paint me with a paintbrush of their beliefs. And I go to my friends at school and they paint me with a paintbrush of their beliefs. I go to church, they paint me with a paintbrush of their beliefs. I get older, I have friends, they paint me with a paintbrush of their beliefs. I start dating, my girlfriend paints me with a paintbrush of their beliefs. I get older, friends, I start working, they paint, and do I even know who I am? Because I've been receiving all these beliefs from different people that I don't even know who is the authentic Thabiso. Who is the authentic Thabiso? Who are you, Thabiso? That you might be allowing all these people, because I didn't know who I am, I took it as if what people are saying about me is the truth. Know who you are so you can be able to sift the truth from other people's problems. Know who you are. And we go into something that I think for many of you, it's quite important. Capabilities and beliefs. What are the things that you are good at? Capabilities and behavior. What are the things that you're good at? What are the behaviors that you're instilling in your life? Are you happy with the skills that you have? What are the things that you are doing right now in your life? Are you happy with that? What are the things that you are good at? Have you taken some time to reflect on the things that you are good at? What are those things that you recognize you're really good at? Instead of Googling them, what are those things? Take some time to reflect on the things that you're good at. Are you happy with the things that you're good at? Or do you think that there is room for improvement in those skills that you have? Isn't it good that even though I might recognize that, you know what, if I could improve, even though I'm not happy with these things, what if I could just improve this area? You know, what are my strengths? What are the things that I'm good at that will help me do what? Fulfill my purpose in life. And if I feel there are certain areas I might need to improve on, thank God I've got those areas I can improve on. You know, we tend to think that weaknesses are a problem in life. But the moment you get to a point in your life where you have no weaknesses, which is simply means there are no things that you can improve on. And I'm sure by now we already understand that there is no such thing as stagnancy. So if there's nothing that you can improve on, simply means that you're constantly disintegrating. You're constantly regressing in life and in your profession. And what's the one thing that our professions have done to give us? CPD points. Continuous professional development. Because we've realized if I am not continuously developing myself professionally, then I'm going to regress, I'm going to fall behind. But how about CPD points? Continuous personal development. I guess we gotta give it to SADA for saying, here's an opportunity for you to develop yourself personally. Let us not look at you developing yourselves professionally. Let us see how it is that we can develop you holistically and not just see you as professionals, but seeing you as people. because that's what you are. We cannot limit you to just a professional, because in your home, you don't show up as a professional. How can we ensure that when you go home, you are empowered enough for you to be present and give the best you to your family, give the best you to those close to you? And then the key thing for us to realize is if we do not empower ourselves in our personal lives, we usually have problems in our professional lives. If there are issues in my personal life, I will have issues with my studies. So how is it that you can begin to identify those areas that you can improve on, both in your professional lives and in your personal lives? You might realize, oh, you know what? All I do is work, 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 work. What is it that I can do to start having a bit of playtime in my life? What is it that I can do to ensure there's a balance, you know, a balance? I think that's all that we're doing now, because we realize there's nothing wrong with play. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a bit of play. But what behaviors am I manifesting in my lives? Are they helping me grow? Because there's something about our behaviors as we go on to behaviors. There's something about our behaviors that many of us don't even recognize. You know, we judge our behaviors. We judge those behaviors that are not giving us the results that we want. Could it be that maybe procrastination is not necessarily as bad as I've put it out to be? Could it be that procrastination is nothing but a strategy that I might be using in the wrong place? What if you use procrastination in a time where you wanted to end your life? You see, if I didn't use procrastination at that time I wanted to end my life, I wouldn't be here. If I didn't use procrastination at that time I wanted to have a cigarette, I probably might be smoking. If I didn't use procrastination at the time somebody, while we are out, offered me some drugs, I probably might have been an addict. However, we tend to look at procrastination as a bad thing. But what if I just simply realize that procrastination is good because it has served me at certain points in my life? It has protected me at certain points in my life. I simply just need to know where and when to use it. What if I stopped judging procrastination and simply started using it where I needed to use it? Would that help me? I don't know, maybe something that you need to reflect on. Maybe something that you need to just simply just become aware of in your journey of life. What are the behaviors in your life that you are judging? You see, in NLP, we believe that every behavior is useful in some context. So if there's a behavior in my life that I'm judging as negative, I simply have to realize that I might simply be using it in the wrong context, in the wrong situations. And I just need to identify which situations is this particular behavior useful in. Because, you know, we tend to be quick to judge, you know? We tend to be quick to judge ourselves and other people. And when I'm talking about behavior, guys, I love to bring it home because, you know, we tend to judge other people, we tend to judge ourselves. But I want you guys to really be aware of. Raise your hand if you've never, ever, ever lied before. Raise your hand if you've never, ever, ever lied before. If you're able to raise your hand, I respect you. But you see, all of us at some point have lied. And I probably hear some of you say, no, but my lie was a white one. Yeah, you see, we tend to want to justify the lies that we tell because it was a good one. No, but we judge other people for being liars. They're bloody liars. See, at some point in our lives when we lied because it was going to either protect us or protect other people. We lied for a positive reason. We lied for a good intention. And it's okay for you to realize that and not judge yourself on the fact that you have lied. You lied because it gave you a positive feeling, even though that feeling was not something that could last, but it gave you a good feeling. For that moment, identify that good feeling so that you can find other ways that are healthy that can give you that good feeling. Thank God I realized the mistake. Nothing wrong with lying. But can I find if lying has negative consequences either to myself or other people, maybe let me realize other ways that I could get this feeling. Maybe lying was too extreme. Let's bring it, let me come up with some, maybe lying was just too light and we all lie, it's okay. But maybe let's go to stealing, Raise your hand if you've never, ever in your life ever stolen something before. Which is bloody thieves. You're bloody thieves. You see, all of us at some point have stolen. Might have not even been students. When I look at my next neighbor's work, I'm stealing in some form of way. But you're stealing because it's going to help you. You're stealing, and sometimes I might just steal because I think maybe nobody, that pen that I think, oh, okay, fine. Okay, I don't think this person is ever gonna need it, all right? But we've all stolen in some form of way. Stop judging yourselves on your behavior. Just realize when you need to use it. I love it when I steal information from books because it allows me to become wiser. It allows me to be able to share my knowledge with other people. Stop judging your behaviors. Start realizing where you might need to use those behaviors in your life so that they can give you the results that you've always wanted them to give you. Judge yourself not by your behaviors, but by your intentions. Judge yourselves by your not by your behaviors, but by your intentions. But I'm not saying here, get me, I'm not saying go out there and now start lying and cheating and whatever and doing all these things. I think you need to, at the same time, look at the consequences of your behaviors. But I'm simply just sharing this with you in case you might have allowed those behaviors that you've done in the past to constantly eat you up inside of you, to constantly create this misalignment of who you are, where you are going in your journey. Lastly, as we go into looking at our environment, the place that you work, live, where you socialize with your friends in general, are you happy with that? Or are there certain things you'd love to change in those areas? This was interactive. I know most men would be like, yeah, my wife, no, let's get her out. Get out of my environment, I'll have peace. I'll have alignment, Tabiso, I'll have alignment. But what are the things that you might need to change in your environment? Us guys really don't think about all those things, but what I love about having a woman in your life is that sometimes you'll come back and you're like, oh my goodness, where's everything? What? But they've changed certain things in the home, and somehow just moving around furniture can just create a shift in just your mindset. Sometimes just making sure that there's light in your home, in your office, changing the lighting slightly might just change your emotional state. What are the changes that you might need to make? Maybe I might need to stop going to certain places, because those places usually lead to me deviating from my purpose, deviating from who I am. Who are some of the people that I might need to let go of? Because sometimes I'm unable to go to the next level simply because of the people that I'm still holding on to, and I need to let go of them. What are the emotions I might need to let go of? What are the beliefs that I might need to let go of? What are the environments that I need to let go of in order for me to get to the next level? Because I don't care what it is that you want in life. There's something that you need to be willing to give up. If you're not willing to give up something to get your degree, if you're not willing to give up something to grow your practice, if you're not willing to give, you might need to give up sleep. You might need to give up those parties. You might need to give up Pizza Thursdays. You might need to give up whatever it is that you realize, whoa, this thing is not really helping me anymore. What is it that you need to give up? You see, the challenge is we tend to think disruptions, distractions in our lives are bad things. Distractions in our lives are not bad things. Distractions in our lives are those things that we enjoy, those things that we love. Those are the distractions in our lives. Realize them, because those things are what takes you away from your purpose. Those things are what create a misalignment in your life. Stop thinking that distractions in life are the things that are bad or whatever. They are good because we enjoy them. That's why they take up our time. I go into social media, I stay there, and I feel good just liking, clicking on liking pictures, people's pictures. And I waste so much of my time, not realizing that the distractions in my life are the things that I enjoy, the things that I love, the things that make me feel good. If you're not willing to let go of the distractions in your life, schedule them. Schedule the distractions in your life. Because the moment you begin to schedule the distractions in your life, you can use them as rewards for having achieved the things that you want to achieve. And what do rewards help with in this journey of life? Rewards help us celebrate who we are. Rewards help us celebrate who we are becoming. Rewards help us celebrate ourselves, the achievements in our lives. Because one thing that I've realized about most professionals, most people in life, is that we are so focused on where we are going and what we are going to achieve in life that I forget to look back at the things that I've achieved that I'm really proud of. Do you know where you are in life? Do you know even if you're going the right direction? Look back to see the things that you've achieved, because that gives you a sense of, oh, okay, maybe I'm right. Where are you? How do you know whether you're going the right direction? Know what it is that you need to look for in your life. Start recognizing and realizing the things that you might need to let go of. Now, as we round off this whole purpose of who I am in life, what is it that I need to be aware of? I need to be aware of all the things that I am, that I love about me. All the things that I've achieved that I'm proud of. All the thoughts that I'm thinking that help me grow. All the emotions that I experience that are helping me. And simply not judge any of them and realize that all these emotions, all these behaviors are simply there to help me. They're simply just there to help me get to where I want to get to. And I simply just need to know when to use them. And these thoughts, I just need to be aware of the thoughts that I need to think about what I do, about who I am, for me to get to where I want to get to. But also, what is it that I'm going to focus on in life? Am I going to focus on what is going bad? Or am I going to focus on what I want? Because many of us don't see the opportunities in our lives simply because we are not looking for opportunities in life. We are looking for things to complain about. You know, some of you are doctors in dentistry, but are also have PhDs in complaining because you've practiced complaining so much that you don't even know what else to do. Even when things are good, you have to look for something else to complain about. What are you practicing? Because whatever you practice determines the results that you get in life. What are you practicing in your life? And lastly, become aware of the actions that you need to take to get to where you want to get to fulfill your purpose in life. I thank you.
All I've got to say is wow, 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 wow. Mr. Mailula, thank you so much for that inspiring, uplifting, and aligning session. It was truly inspiring, and just from listening to you, it is actually quite amazing when one, through a self-introspection, just asks themselves that question, who I am. I find it quite amazing. Another wonderful introspective question that I found was the question where you asked, where are you going? And I think a lot of us need to start asking ourselves that question, where are we going? I mean, there's so many areas in our life that we need to ask ourselves that question, where are we going? I want to thank you so much for availing yourself and sharing your wisdom with the YDC. And I think we can take some questions. Ladies and gentlemen, if there are any questions, please feel free to type your questions in the Q&A section. I see there are some very positive comments, and Mr. Mailula will forward you those good comments. It is so far all positive comments. So that's good. Yes, I think we'll just give it a few minutes. Maybe if anybody wants to ask any questions. I think maybe everybody is just in awe. So I think nothing that's coming to mind. I think we're just getting some thank yous from the audience as well. Some comments of appreciation. I think we can just give it another 2 or 3 minutes. And then
Dr. Bika, I think you can also read the comments of appreciation in the meantime. I've gone through the comments; they're quite valuable. So I think you can go through them.
Okay. So we have a comment from Linda Williams, and I think this was at about 8:05. You were probably mentioning something very positive, and she said, "All I can say is Amen." The next question, the next comment rather, was a comment saying it was a good lecture and a good presentation. And further, the participant said that I've learned that God has placed a sense of purpose, eternity in the hearts of men. It is placed there from before creation, as the spirit of man is eternal. But man doesn't seem to take time or effort to discover what the secret really is. Without discovering this, you will always be seeking and be dissatisfied with yourself or circumstances. And I think you've addressed some of those areas very nicely in your session, Mr. Mailula. Another anonymous attendee said, "What an unbelievable webinar, so inspirational. Glad I could join the Young Dentist webinar incognito. Our youth is our future, from an old toppy dentist." So I'm glad some of the older folk joined us as well. Thank you for doing that. Another comment was, "Thank you for this presentation. We easily forget to invest in ourselves." I totally agree with you. And also, Mr. Mailula said, "Where are we going?" So I think there's some room for thinking and investing in ourselves. Another comment was, "Absolutely brilliant. Please bring him on more often." And I think we'll definitely do that. So those
definitely, Dr. Bika.
positive comments. And yeah, I don't think there are any questions. Maybe I think you spoke everything in such a way that everybody understood. I think
I feel like Dr. Mailula's topic was so interesting. He just, everybody's left like just, surprised and taken by awe, myself included. I've made so many notes, points for reflection as well. So definitely, I mean, I've got notes sitting in front of me, and there's so many points that you've given us for self-improvement. So thank you so much for that.
All right. So thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rasool, for adding that on. Ladies and gentlemen, I think there are no more questions. We've come to the end of this evening session. I once again want to thank Mr. Thabiso Mailula. Thank you so much again. Ladies and gentlemen, if you missed the session and you'd like to watch it again, or you've watched it and want to be re-inspired, it will be available on the SADA YouTube channel. You can even recommend it to some of your colleagues and to your staff members. I thank Dr. Rasool for joining us, Dr. Intabiseng Metsing, Norma and Marilise from head office. Thank you for putting this program together and all the technical aspects. Ladies and gentlemen, good night. Have a good evening. Stay well. Thank you to our guest again, and bless you. Just stay tuned for our sessions in September. It's National Oral Health Month, and I would love all of you to be involved. That is one of our purposes. So yeah, just stay tuned, see our Facebook pages, read the websites, and if you have any questions, please feel free to get in contact with us. Just another message to the younger members out there: should you feel that there's a certain topic that is in need of the hour, if there's a certain aspect of dentistry you feel that as a young practitioner or in general that you feel that the YDC should cover, please get in touch with me, send us an email through the SADA platform. Any questions regarding the Young Dentist Council will be forwarded to me, and we can have a look at the topic suggestions, and yeah, maybe we can implement those. So thank you so much, and see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr.